This week, UCLA's Institute for the Environment and Sustainability released a new survey on the future impact of global warming on Southern California. Paul Bunje is the executive director of the Center for Climate Change Solutions. Thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
Tell us about this report. It's going to get hotter.
It's going to get hotter. And what this report does is it takes a look at what climate change is going to do right here in Southern California. So it's a lot more specific and it's a lot more accurate than most of the global models that are out there for our region.
Let's be specific.
So what we're going to see is by mid-century, by the middle of this century, 4 to 5 degrees on average warmer throughout the year. And beyond that, most of that warming is going to be in the summer and fall. So the hot seasons are going to get even hotter. And then we've also taken a look at things like specific changes in the valleys versus the coasts. And we see the valleys, San Fernando Valley, San Gabriel Valley, the Inland Empire, all warm towards that upper range, towards 5 degrees.
So more days over 100.
And so what we're going to get is a lot more extremely hot days. That's exactly right. And in fact, one of the things that the study takes a look at is just how much. Most of LA is going to have triple the number of extremely hot days. Most of the valleys and inland areas, quadruple the number, 4 times the number.
And we're looking at that gradual over the next 50 years.
This actually takes a look. The baseline is at the end of last century, from 1980 to 2000. And how that will change from then to 2040 to 2060 by mid-century this year. So we're already in the midst of that change. It's already happening.
Now, there are some who've argued that previous reports had these draconian numbers. What is your confidence level on this report?
So one of the great things about this report, the researchers, and this is led by Alex Hall, a professor at UCLA, took a lot of care on the uncertainty to try and find out, which means exactly how all of the models might project things going out there. And there's ranges that are sometimes wide, but still frightening. Under no circumstances, under no scenarios, for instance, do we expect any part of the region to stay the same temperature. Everywhere is going to warm with extreme certainty.
And this is man-made global warming, or do you get into it?
You know, it doesn't even need to get into that, essentially. What this does is it takes the existing warming that's been happening, the temperatures we can measure, and then it downscales global models, which do have different estimates of greenhouse gas emissions from humans in them. But you can take those different scenarios as well from those global models, and no matter what, regardless of how much more greenhouse gases the Earth emits, we're going to see warming in Southern California.
What to do about it?
So what do you do about it? Well, this says we need to adapt. We need to get used to some of these warmer temperatures, and some of those things are pretty straightforward efforts, right? You need to have air conditioning if it gets really hot, which is a challenge for some places in Southern California, near the coasts, for instance, where homes may not have air conditioning already.
And they'll need it.
And they'll need it. And they'll need it, which could be a burden on electricity demand, for instance.
But also you talk about regulations pertaining to building and construction.
That's right, and that's actually a big thing that's going to need to start happening, is we're going to need to have buildings that are better insulated so that the cool air doesn't get out, that have reflective roofs, cool roofs on top of them, for instance. The same is true of our streets. These streets are, they're blacktop, that absorbs heat. If they're lighter colors, they actually reflect more heat, and that can be an adaptation mechanism. There's a couple of one of the nice things about all those that you're hearing, though, those are smart things to do anyway, regardless of whether we had to adapt to climate change, right? If you insulate your home, you're saving money on your electricity bills.
True. There are some places, though, if you look at different areas of government, and I'll pick on the new Arts High School in downtown Los Angeles. A great place, concrete everywhere.
Yep.
And the reflective heat is going to be remarkable. Yet that is a building that came out of a public agency.
That's right. Now, one of the reasons this was done, actually, was because of a collaboration with public agencies. And this is actually a fairly unique effort, this study. The city of LA paid for this from a grant that they received from the Department of Energy. UCLA conducted it, and all organized by a regional collaborative that I also manage, the Los Angeles Regional Collaborative, that allows us to take this science and put it into those agencies so that when they have new buildings or new codes or new policies out there, they're not just considering issues of safety and other elements that are already in the code, but they're thinking about adapting to climate change in the future.
And adapting to a city that has been expanding with concrete and cement for many years, trying to get rid of that.
That's right.
Whatever you can.
That's
right.
Is
that a possibility, though?
Well, that's up to us as a community, I think, to decide, essentially. This is, the science is sort of plain. It says this is what you're going to have to deal with. It's, in a sense, a choice of us as individuals and as members of this of Southern California to decide what we want our cities to look like in the future. Do we want them to have parks that are relatively cooler than a concrete playground that are nearby so that you can walk to them, or do you want to keep having just sprawl? And that's part of what this science allows us to decide for the future.
And this report is for policymakers, but it's also for the public to see.
Absolutely.
Where can they see it?
Absolutely, and we've released a wonderful website called C-Change.LA. C, the letter C is in climate, -change.LA. You go there, you can download the report, you can download a summary of the findings, and there's maps and a tremendous amount of information on what you can do as an individual or as a city to actually change and adapt to climate change.
Paul Bunje, Executive Director of UCLA's Center for Climate Change Solutions. Thank you very much.
Thank you for having me.
Congratulations on the report. Up next, the effort at hiring our heroes when News Conference returns.